Hey, so we are talking about how not to burn out this week. Here's today's question. I can't walk away from my to-do list even when I'm not working. I'm still thinking about a bill or a referral or a client's progress. How do I shut off? So thanks to Therapy Notes for sponsoring us. So I'm going to steal some of this answer from my private practice life balance course. And if you want more, you're welcome to dive into the whole course over at abundanceparty.com. So I see this as layered. One layer is systems related and the other layer is emotional. So let's start with systems. If you have a solid system or schedule for bills, you know it'll get taken care of, so you don't have to think about it. So when that thought arises, it's a quick like, oh yeah, that gets handled Tuesdays, or whatever system should relieve it. It's easy to obsess about referrals if you're not yet to a place where you can count on them. You can't control the referrals, even when you are busy, but you can control what you do to bring in referrals. If you have a system for that, you can lean back into that. Like, oh, referrals aren't coming in the door. Oh, well, I'm doing X, Y, and Z from my marketing plan on these days as scheduled. A client's progress, not your responsibility. I know it doesn't feel like that all the time, but your rumination isn't going to hasten their progress. If you feel like you could be doing more impactful work with them, joining a consultation group or seeking regular supervision can take some of that pressure off. And you can think about the client and then remind yourself that you have trusted colleagues that you can consult with in order to, discuss whatever it is you're worried about next Thursday, whatever day you meet. And you can just kind of be like, I'll work on that Thursday. So the vast majority of the struggle is actually emotional. And it's a struggle a lot of us try to solve with systems, and they can help, but most of the time when we're not mentally letting go of work, it's an emotional thing. So we're going to go there. So first, I would see if the obsession is truly just like rabid interest in your work, which it doesn't sound like it is, or if it's strategic avoidance of some things in your life that you don't want to feel. So I want you to really search. And in the past, I really honestly thought the thrill of all the business stuff was what was driving me. But when I got still, I would get walloped with grief that I hadn't resolved or worked on. So work was protecting me from being with my grief. I tested it. I'm not the exception to the rule with this. Apparently, when you ignore your feelings, they don't disappear. You're probably not the exception to the rule here either. If you're not someone who gets these rushes of inspiration often, like maybe it's not, like maybe there are some times when you're really actually excited about this work and your brain is on it. Indulge it if your priorities allow for it. Ride the wave and enjoy the work. But then when you're feeling less motivated later, like take the pressure off. So getting to know your ebbs and flows can really help you trust that they will balance out eventually. I'm going to also encourage you to fill your life with more fun. I know that seems kind of trite, but if you have a hobby or an interest or even something just slightly more interesting than these worries that you have, then you can more easily switch your inappropriately timed work thoughts to your interest thought. So like I'm learning to play the piano right now. And if I start to get sucked into a work thought that I know like I don't have to work with right now, I'll try to figure out like what's the arpeggio in D flat, in a D flat scale. Things like that just are neither here nor there. I still suck at piano. The thing that I'm thinking about still needs to get done, but it gives me a little break from getting into a rumination cycle with it. Also in the past will like rearrange furniture in my head and decorate spaces. So finding little rest spots for you to go to in your head to create a little bit of space from the thought. If you know there's already a plan to handle it and your brain just keeps going there. But underneath it, I promise you, there is probably a thing you don't want to deal with. We had a rule for a little while in our household that we didn't talk about work at all at the house. And that really helped me because I found that I was starting all my sentences to my partner with like, oh, one thing I could do with the business. And like, first of all, he glazed over. Second of all, it showed how much I was not present in my relationship, and I was in such a habit of thinking about work stuff, and not vocalizing it actually took a lot of the thoughts away, and that was helpful. I also spend less time talking about business stuff with some of my business geek friends than I used to. So like, I mean, I have a lot of friends who also do private practice consulting, and we know each other a lot better personally now because we don't just talk about like work ideas and all the fun businessy stuff that we like to think of. And I'm recognizing that for me, a lot of this brought pleasure, like to think and talk about work. But it sounds like for you, it's more just the awful ruminative, like, oh, my list is never ending kind of stuff. And that's one thing about private practice, y'all, is there's always more you can be doing. So it's also smart to know when to stop doing things, like billing you should do, following up with referrals you should do. But sometimes we get a little space, and so we throw another marketing strategy on top. You don't need to do that. You need no more than 5 max. And some of those need to be set it and forget it, like write a really great online profile, like for Psychology Today or something like that, if that's one of your chosen strategies, and really nail it. Sorry about that, human moment. Yeah, I also have a weekly mastermind that I'm a part of that really helps me when my mind really wants to hold on to a work thought. I can be like, oh, I can talk to them about that, Wednesday, and I don't have to work all that out for myself right this second. So my advice to you is to implement some systems and then to be still and let the work thoughts come up and see if the systems help. And when you need space and distraction from those thoughts because they won't let go, use some of the things I talked about, but really you got to get to that underneath stuff that's making those thoughts so pervasive and so enticing for your mind to keep going to, because there's something there. Alrighty, like I said, on Monday this week, I'm going to be a lot more long-winded because I care about this stuff a lot. For the Private Practice Life Balance course, come join us over at abundantfriday.com. If you have questions, please shoot me an email over at ask@abundancepractice.com.